Many children with autism have verbal stims, where they may say the sound word or words over and over again, or just make seemingly random sounds. They may sometimes run excitedly from one end of the house to another while verbally stimming, for no real obvious reasons. And for some parents and cultures in particular, when visitors are over, seeing their child do these things can bring with it an element of shame. And this brings me to this month's question that was asked of me. When I first talked to this child's parents during the initial phone call, I was given this picture of a child who can't, quote unquote, can't do anything, doesn't play, and doesn't talk. All he did was have meltdowns, climb furniture, refuse to sit still, and run up and down the house making loud sounds. And all this was underpinned by a general sense of frustration with the child. But when I met the child for the meet and greet and then again for the assessment, I discovered that while the child was indeed very limited in his speech, he actually had incredible play skills, which were quite complex in the sense that he was able to engage in dramatic pretend play and had a cheeky personality that, yes, pushed the boundaries at times, but was also picking up on things like sarcasm and when I was just being silly with him. What's more, when I took out the Play-Doh and the kinetic sand, he absolutely loved it. He made ice cream and milkshakes. He hid his animals in the sand and was able to rescue them. In fact, he loved the Play-Doh and the sand so much that he was very reluctant to pack away those activities. So how can this child, who the parents insist cannot do anything, be able to demonstrate quite advanced levels of play, all things considered? Did the parents intentionally try to paint a bleak picture of the child to get onto my caseload? The answer is, of course, no. Because once I stopped engaging with the child and had to talk to the parents, I saw everything that the parents saw. I saw him climb the pantry to find snacks. I saw him run up and down the house making loud sounds. And I saw him help himself to a jar of Nutella with his bare hands. So what is going on here? Clearly, if it was a skill deficit, the child would not have shown all the skills that he showed during the initial meet and greet and then the assessment. As I was sitting on the couch with the family and trying to put all the pieces together, it had dawned on me how few toys there were in the household. Sure, there was a huge TV, an iPad, and a few dinosaurs and a few other toys scattered throughout the house, but nothing that screamed, "This is a household with kids in it." And honestly, if you have been actively following the story so far, the solution was exactly what you've got in your head right this moment. I suggested they purchase two things. The first is a Play-Doh set, which I thought the child would like, and this was an absolute no-brainer and pretty much guaranteed to work because I saw how the child was able to engage with the Play-Doh both when I was playing with him and when I left him alone for some independent play. Literally, all the parents needed to do was learn when and when not to give him access to the Play-Doh. If he's just wandering around aimlessly or running up and down the house, take out the Play-Doh. The only reason the child was doing those things was because that was his way of seeking stimulation, as there was nothing else for him to do. And the second thing I asked the parents to purchase was this, Water Wow. Most of you would already know what this is, but if you don't, it's basically a reusable painting pad that is activated by water. It usually comes with a paintbrush that you fill with water, and it's one of our favorite recommendations for families who are struggling to take their kids out to eat at a cafe or the restaurant because most kids are highly motivated by it. And the reason they are motivated by it is because A, it is water-based and therefore there is a sensory element to it. B, because there are many different themes you can purchase like dinosaurs, space, vehicles and pets. So you're bound to find something that your child likes. And finally, what I think is the most important reason is it is errorless because all your child needs to do is put the paintbrush to the page and the water does the rest. They cannot make a mistake and they do not need anyone's help to do it. They get immediate and positive feedback from the page itself and it therefore further encourages independent play. And what I will also say is that while I did not recommend to this particular family due to other factors, kinetic sand is actually another good one for independent play. You just have to watch out for it because it can be very messy. So if your child is struggling to engage in play by themselves at home, consider resources that I've talked about today, particularly the Water Well if you haven't tried it. for all these activities that are designated for independent play, it's really important to only take those out when you need it, rather than having it out for free access. What tends to happen is children very quickly get bored of materials if they are left out for them to freely explore.